Good afternoon. My name is Bob Norton, and I'd like to invite you to this Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And for those of you who expressed concern for my well-being, who were here last year, I can tell you that they've kindly put up a railing this year in the back. So I'm not going to do a pirouette off the back of the stage this year. It gives me great pleasure to introduce for our invocation this evening the Reverend Father John McKenzie, who is the pastor of Our Lady of Lourdes and St. Joseph's in Pittsfield. Father McKenzie, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I'm really happy to be here with you. I'd like to thank Dick Boucher for letting me come and spend some time with you. I'd like to begin with the Word of God. This is Paul's letter to Timothy. Timothy was a young bishop in Ephesus whom he ordained. He came to the faith. But Paul says to Timothy, in his letter to Timothy, he says, "But you, man of God, avoid all of this. Instead, pursue righteousness, devotion, faith, love, patience, and gentleness. Compete well for the faith. Lay hold of eternal life, to which you were called when you made the noble confession in the presence of many witnesses." You know, God loves competition. Paul uses that word to Timothy. He says, compete well for the faith. And that word compete is agonozomehi, where we get the word agony. And it's used in the sense of an arena. Compete, that word is always, it's used in the sense of an arena. And of course, hockey is played in an arena. And so Paul is saying, compete well in the arena of faith. And of course, Timothy will compete well. And so competition, today you honor those who, these men who have competed well as hockey players. And to compete well, I think, means, God always wins, so he doesn't have to worry about that. But for us, sometimes we lose, but we lose graciously. But sometimes we really like to stick it to the other people. And that's where the All-Stars come in. That's where the Hall of Fame comes in. These guys, they play hard, whether they're losing or whether they're winning. The thing about the All-Stars and the Hall of Fame players, they give their whole being to the game. And they play hard, they play rough, they play to win. And they enjoy the game. And that's great. And that's sort of like what the faith is about. And so, just like the church, Catholic Church, Orthodox Church, we have our Hall of Fame, the saints. Well, you have your Hall of Fame here, too. These men who compete well in the arena of hockey. And I played a lot of hockey when I was a teenager. I love hockey. It's one of my favorite sports. And so, I'm happy to be here with you. And so, let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for the gift of our life and for the many ways in which you bless us and in which we enjoy this life on this earth which you have created. And we thank you for the gift of sports and in a special way for the gift of hockey. Bless this assembly who gather here today. Bless all of them. Bless their families and bless the men whom they are inducting into the Hall of Fame. Continue to bless our nation as we prepare to elect another president. Bless our state. And bless all of us as we enjoy this time together. And we make our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father McKenzie. Back in 1975, I made a trip up to Berlin. I was coaching at UNH, and there was a recruit up there that Coach Holt was interested in. And so I committed an NCAA violation. I took him out to lunch, a little restaurant in downtown Berlin. And as with so many of the guys that I recruited over the years to UNH, they're now all grown up and in businesses and in leadership positions all around. And it's my pleasure to introduce the president of the Legends of New Hampshire Hockey and one of my last recruits at UNH, Johnny Norman.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a mic here? That's it. Perfect. For those of you who are going to be coming up to the stage, if you're agile enough to take that step, please feel free. Otherwise, we invite you to walk around and use the steps. Welcome. On behalf of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the 15th Induction Ceremony of the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame. Congratulations to our 5 Hall of Fame inductees. A special welcome to their family members and friends who have come to join in today's celebration. In addition, I also want to welcome back all of our current Hall of Fame members. We're gathered here today because of a game that has touched each of our lives in many different ways. This is a unique event that brings the New Hampshire hockey community under one roof, where we can rekindle old friendships, foster new ones, and celebrate the past, present, and future of hockey in New Hampshire. Of course, we're gathered primarily to honor 5 individuals who have made significant contributions to the sport of hockey in New Hampshire as players and builders. Our class of 2016 represents both the past and present of hockey in New Hampshire. Like all of our members of our Hall of Fame, our new inductees have given back to the sport of hockey as builders, supporting or managing various hockey programs at a local or national level, and as players who have left their unique imprint on the New Hampshire hockey landscape, beginning from their youth hockey days, high school or prep, to college, to professional and Olympic teams. I'd like to introduce just a few of the dignitaries who are here with us today. Please hold your applause. Senator Lou D'Alessandro of Manchester, a longtime Legends supporter. Mayor Jim Bowley of Concord. Jeff Eisenberg, our keynote speaker and president of ER Advertising in Manchester. Coach Dick Umili. Is Dick here? Not yet. And Coach Bill Riley. Most of you may know the Legends were formed in 2001 with our primary mission of honoring, celebrating, and preserving New Hampshire's rich ice hockey history while supporting the development of hockey. As noted in the program, the first organized game with rules in the United States was played in 1883 on a pond here in Concord by students of St. Paul's School, today's luncheon sponsor. You can access the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame and our hockey museum over the internet on the New Hampshire Legends website, nhlegendsofhockey.com, which is also listed in your program. Nominations of deserving individuals for induction into the 2016 class of New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame can be filed by anyone and are due by March 1st, 2017. The 2017 nomination form will be available on our website after January 1st. And we encourage you to please nominate whoever you think might be a consideration to be a member of this hall. We need your support in bringing people before the board and the committee that does the selection. In the past few years, the focus of the New Hampshire Legends has continued to expand by supporting the growth of hockey at several levels. For example, we've supported youth and junior programs. For a number of years, we've partnered with the New Hampshire high school coaches to sponsor the boys' all-state hockey game and to recognize the boys and girls who are selected as all-state players. Last year, we partnered with New Hampshire prep school coaches to recognize their all-state players. And in addition, we've supported the boys' Make-A-Wish game between New Hampshire and Vermont seniors. These two jerseys are the jerseys that the New Hampshire teams wear, the white and the red. We support the Black Ice Hockey Tournament, a senior pond hockey tournament here in Concord. Their proceeds go to expanding skating areas throughout the capital city. It also connects us on the Legends board to our roots, the days when we learned to play hockey on local ponds in our hometowns. In 2017, you can expect the New Hampshire Legends to continue expanding our support of hockey in New Hampshire, particularly the future of the sport at a grassroots level, youth hockey. We are pleased and fortunate to have Paul Camo, the current president of New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, to join our board. Paul recently came on, and we feel that he will be a great asset to helping us achieve our mission of helping grow the sport. In particular, I'd like to thank our key sponsors. First, our luncheon sponsors, St. Paul's School of Concord. Would the people from St. Paul's please stand? Unfortunately, they were not able to attend. I would also like to thank our two co-title sponsors, Hawk Hockey of St. Anselm's College and Amoskeag Beverage. If you would please stand. The folks from St. A's and Amoskeag. Thank you very much for your support. In addition, our longtime sponsor, social hour sponsor, New Hampshire Distributors, whom I believe are not in attendance, but NHD has been a longtime supporter, and we thank them as well. And finally, our induction ring sponsor, the New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association. And unfortunately, Paul Camo had a previous family commitment and could not attend, but we really look forward to our growing relationship with them and thank them for their sponsorship. In addition to these longtime sponsors, we'd like to recognize the support of our 6 gold sponsors. As you can see, the banners on the wall, the 14 silver sponsors, and our 11 bronze sponsors who are in the program. Thank you so much for your support. The Legends is a nonprofit organization that depends on your support and that of our sponsors to continue our mission. Our mission is listed in the front page of the program. Our board of directors and the executive director work tirelessly all year to organize this event, as well as our annual golf classic and the senior high school games that we hold in March. I would like to thank our board of directors for all that are listed in the program, for their huge commitment to being part of this organization, and the time and work that these guys put in is invaluable. Thank you. Thank you so much to each of you. And I would like also to recognize several outstanding individuals: Jim DeRemus, Stacy Budrius, 2 former members of our board of directors, and Dick Roy, who will be stepping down after today, has been on our board of directors since 2004. We thank you, for all of you, for your dedication to our organization, and we wish you the very best. Dick Roy, by the way, is originally from Berlin, would travel over 300 miles to attend our meetings, which were held once a month for, 10 months out of the year? Dick, thank you so much for your commitment to hockey. We'd also like to remember all of the teammates that we lost over the past year. Hall of Famer George Nome, Hubie McDonough Jr., and David Pearl. I would like to acknowledge a wonderful achievement from last June. As a native son, Ben Lovejoy won the Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ben is the first player, and I know player, from New Hampshire to has his name engraved on the Stanley Cup, and what an instrumental role he played in that victory. Today with us are his parents, Carrie and Carl Lovejoy. Please stand. Carrie is a former member of our board of directors, and Carl and I go back many, many years playing with the Budmen together and won a few championships together. Great times. Once again, my congratulations to all of our class of 2016 inductees, families, friends. Thank you all for attending this great induction ceremony. Thank you very much. While I have your undivided attention, you did notice that we are having a raffle, the Whistler raffle, and one of our devoted members on the board of directors actually donated this Whistler condominium that we're raffling off. If anyone would like to purchase a ticket, this is again one of our major fundraising events. If you would like to purchase a ticket, where's Dave Beauchamp? Dave and his wife Brenda were the two that donated tickets. If you would like to purchase a ticket, maybe during the lunch hour, if you could visit Bob's table, and then later on, before we conclude this event, we will have the raffle. The odds are pretty good. I think we've sold right around 100 tickets at $25 a piece. The value is about $3,000, so please, we need your support. Thank you very much.
You have to understand, we're dealing with hockey players here. You gotta, sometimes the instructions and the coaching has to be pretty direct and specific. You're not dealing with a group of physics professors. We're dealing with guys that, stick them pucks. Now, our next guest is the Honorable State Senator Lou D'Alessandro, and it says here address. I don't want you to be confused, Lou. This is brief remarks. And my good friend of some 40-odd years, State Senator Lou D'Alessandro. Lou? There's no way you're going to make that step. You got to go around. You need help? You want to crawl? All right.
Everybody knows Nortz is the king of conversation. We watch him on TV when he's doing the hockey games. And of course, he was a great recruiter for New Hampshire, the University of New Hampshire football team. And we thank him for his many contributions to the Wildcats. I see before me one of my dear friends, Greg Moffett. If you ever need a lawyer, he's the guy to grab. Get him early, because the cost goes up if you let him hang in. And Mayor, so nice to see you. The Honorable Mayor Jim Boulay, very close. Thank you, Mayor. Great to see you. I have a letter here from the governor. She couldn't be here. And we have proclamations from the governor and from the state senate for each one of the inductees. But let me read the letter. Dear friends, I regret that I cannot be there with you in person, but I join you in celebrating and congratulating this year's inductees to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame. For 15 years now, the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey has held this luncheon and induction ceremony, honoring New Hampshire's proud hockey tradition. providing enjoyment and entertainment to countless Granite Staters. Hockey strengthens our quality of life and makes significant contributions to our economy, while also bringing people together and making our communities stronger. In addition, all of the coaches and mentors throughout the state use hockey to help teach our young people many of the values that are long-standing traditions in New Hampshire: hard work, responsibility, community, and cooperation. The New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame inductees have demonstrated an admirable dedication to the sport, representing the strength and resilience that define our state. I'm honored to commend you for your accomplishments, hard work, and commitment to hockey, your community, and your state. Once again, congratulations to today's honorees, the St. Anselm's College men's and women's hockey teams, and thank you to the New Hampshire Legends for all that you do to promote and preserve New Hampshire's rich hockey tradition. With every good wish, Margaret Wood Hassan, Governor of the state of New Hampshire. So with that, Nortz, we'll say, was that short enough?
That was, you did a great
Okay,
job.
okay.
Thank you very much, my friend. Just a note, during lunch, there'll be a video shown of the 1932 Winter Olympics. That was the Winter Olympics that was held at Lake Placid. And it was donated to the Legends by George W. Chase, whose father, John Chase, was the captain of that U.S. Olympic team. And that Olympic team was also the one that Doug Everett played on, after whom Everett Arena is named. So that's the video that will be showed during lunch. At this time, it's my pleasure, and he's been here the last commitment to the Legends, and he's a terrific mayor, the Honorable Mayor of Concord, Jim Boulay. Thanks.
I just want to know if he was in the lunchtime video. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another great day in the city of Concord. I want to thank you all on a very, very personal note before I begin. My wife had me painting this morning. There's nothing I like less than painting. So I can't tell you how much I was so glad to say, I'm sorry, honey, I have to leave. I have to go to Legends of Hockey. So I really appreciate it. So as the mayor of the city of Concord, I am proud once again to welcome you to the cradle of American hockey. As you heard earlier, as you know, this is where it all began, November 17th, 1883, at St. Paul's School. Hockey is truly the lifeblood of our capital city during the winter months, whether it's supporting our local youth hockey teams, rooting for the local high school teams, following one of our many New Hampshire college teams, or even pulling for the Manchester Monarchs. Are they still the Monarchs? I guess they are. And the Boston Bruins in this passionate hockey community. My mayor pro tem is a hockey dad. And he said, if you don't mention me, I'm going to be really upset. So this is for Mayor Pro Tem Dan St. Hilaire. He said, listen, when you talk about parents, he said, the players are great, but don't forget the parents. The parents are the ones who have to put that bag that smells in their car, take their kid all over New England. Don't forget the parents. So Dan, that was for you, and everyone else who does that as well. I want to commend the Legends of New Hampshire Hockey for their commitment and support for the great game, and for all they do throughout the year to maintain the rich history, traditions, and the sport of hockey in New Hampshire. I would encourage those who are not supporters of New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, please consider joining and becoming part of something very special. I want to congratulate the 5 inductees who will join the more than 100 members of the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame today. And I want to thank you for all that you've done for this great sport. To the Legends of the Hockey Executive Board, thank you again for choosing our great city, and I wish to honor those who have contributed so much to the sport of hockey. So I will stop here because it is not going unnoticed that I am the last name before lunch. And I want to make sure that you all have your lunch. So please enjoy the rest of your festivities, enjoy your afternoon, and thank you, Ryan. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Don't forget, we're going to be watching the 1932 Lake Placid Winter Olympic video, and enjoy your lunch. Thank you. We'll be back. At this time, for the purpose of recognizing our honored team and other housekeeping details, I'd like to once again bring back the president, John Norman. John?
Okay, sorry for that minor delay. I would like to invite a former past president. It's our honor to acknowledge former president, my predecessor, Greg Moffett, to come up and accept this award. Greg was on our board of directors for 11 years and 2 years as served as president. And so I would like to invite Greg up to accept this award. Congratulations. Here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Greg is a friend, a former teammate, and a highly respected lawyer in New Hampshire, and it is an honor to have served with Greg and to be able to say he's a cherished member, former member of our board of directors. Thanks again, Greg. Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite, actually 1 second here. I'm trying to keep track of this itinerary. Who am I doing? Am I doing the? Bob. Oh, that's right. At this time, I would like to take a moment to invite Bob Vachon up. Bob is a member of our board of directors as well, and Bob would like to say a few words about our fundraising activities. Oh.
Going back, I'll go the other way. Thank you very much. New Hampshire Legends of Hockey is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to honor those who have made significant contributions to the game and to further honor our rich New Hampshire hockey history. You will have seen a brochure on your desk, on your table, on your chair earlier that is called our supporters brochure. This is a significant fundraiser for our organization. We cannot put on events such as this without your help. We have lots of sponsors, but we need your help. Support levels start at $25 per person and go to the platinum level of $150. I think you'll agree that our support levels are more than modest. We're asking for your participation and financial support to keep events such as this a very special day, where we recognize and honor those who have impacted so many lives. It costs thousands of dollars to run a first-class event that you're attending today. Thanks to Jim Hayes and the Board of Directors for hosting such a special day and honoring such special people. It costs several $1,000s to run our organization. Yet, your Board of Directors receives no compensation for their services or reimbursement for their expenses. Hockey fans, we need your support. We ask you to take the brochure home with you and send us back a check, like I will do, to help the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey continue our mission and to make the sport of hockey thrive in New Hampshire. Please raise your brochures if you're willing to help. Thank you. We look forward to your help and your checks in the next few days so that we can continue events such as this.
This time, I'd like to invite Jim Hayes to come up. Jim is our executive director, who, I don't know if many of you know, Jim has been involved with this organization from its inception and works extremely hard each year to pull this function together, as well as our annual golf outing, and works tirelessly. It's just amazing the amount of work that this man does, and we are ever so grateful. Jim?
Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. I just wanted to take a minute and recognize our current Hall of Fame members who are here today with us. At this table, I think he was not able to attend, but Dick Umili was scheduled to be here, and Ken Kale had a previous engagement. But our MC, Bob Norton, Jeff Eisenberg, our keynote speaker, and of course our president, John Norman. Staying on the same side of the room towards the back, right-hand corner, Peter Marr and Mark Evans, Leo Gould, Steve Murphy and Jacques Rodrigue, Pierre Belanger, Renee Leclerc, Dick Terrio and Merrill Fay. And on this other side of the room, Dick Dodds here in the front, Dick Boucher, Andre Prefontaine, Dickie Roy, and Brian Stone. Thank you all for being here today, and enjoy the rest of the ceremony. Thank you.
We've heard Jeff Eisenberg's name mentioned a couple of times, and there's a reason for that. He is, as much as anyone, instrumental in the original organization of the Legends of Hockey. He and Dick Boucher and Francois Elise were really, in the formative days of this association, the core. And without them, this would never have started. At that time, he was president of the Manchester Monarchs and was looking for a connection between the Monarchs and the community, and he certainly found one and drove our early days. He owns EVR Advertising, and we have not forgotten what a great contribution he made to this organization. Please welcome Jeff Eisenberg. Jeff.
Thank you, Bob. If Lou can step onto this stage without all those steps, I can do it too. You're an inspiration. You're a great American. So I was asked to give a little bit of the background about how this all happened, how the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey started 15 years ago. It's hard to believe. So I'm going to do that in a kind of a brief little journey here, and give you a little bit of the history. How did a guy from Tennessee, I'm probably the only one in this organization who never played the game, because I grew up in Tennessee. Hardly knew what offsides or icing was. I was in baseball. Actually, when I was 12 years old, I was the clubhouse boy for the Eastern League Memphis Blues. Used to polish the shoes. I noticed one day they would always have me run to go get hot dogs, and Clubby, go get me your hot dogs. So I decided to make ham sandwiches in between the double headers, and I was an entrepreneur at an early age. My cost of goods were very low because my mom bought all the bread and ham. My only problem was I was the only kid in the neighborhood who had a accounts receivables problem, because they would always say, "I'll catch you later." And so I gave that up and went back to making the runs for the hot dogs. But I ended up being in baseball for a long time. Philadelphia Phillies, Milwaukee Brewers, and I'll never forget when I had this headhunter that I knew called me and asked me whether I wanted to talk about a position of Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the Buffalo Sabres. So I said I had no idea anything about hockey. All my baseball friends were saying you're going to the dark side. I really didn't intend to take the job, but I went and got the offer, and I made that move. So there I was in Buffalo with some of the great names of the game. Pat LaFontaine, who I got to know, was a great guy. Dominic Hasek. I'm learning this game. Ended up in Portland, and then the Kings hired me to start the Monarchs. So I I arrived, and if you know, I'm not sure you're aware that they had been trying to build this arena for like 30 years. And finally they had the big breakthrough, and then I get to come in and, okay, I'll take over from here. Pretty good deal. We're going to have some fun. So it was an amazing, amazing experience. It was the perfect storm because Manchester was a town, and the state of New Hampshire wanted their own thing. We love our Boston sports, but we wanted our own thing. So I stepped into this perfect storm, and things went crazy. I had 14 months to get ready. I called a gathering of 2 people a speaking engagement, and I had lots of them. Anybody who invited me, I was prepared to go. One of my first employees, Matt Welch, who is still, I guess, the only original left. God bless him. So Matt has been there since the beginning, and it was an amazing story. The coaches along the way, Bruce Boudreau, who I got to know very well, he used to come and he'd stop by my office, and I'd have a whiteboard, and I'd say, explain the neutral zone trap to me again, please. So I got to learn from some of the greats. Mark Morris I was close to. One word for great people and great coaches like this, and coaches in general: neurotic. They are the craziest, most wound up people you'll ever get to know, but I spent a lot of time with them. Some of the players along the way: Mike Camilleri, you'll know these names, Dustin Brown, Matt Molson, Brian Boyle, Jonathan Quick, Alec Martinez, just these great players that came through, and it was just an amazing love affair that we had with the city. The characters that came through, that's my code for tough guys, fighters. We call them characters so that people don't like to, insult our sport. But the Ryan Flynn's of the world, and the Joe Rillias, the Kip Brennan of the world, who happened to come back as a Hershey Bear a couple of years later and managed to get into a fight with a fan in the gap between the penalty box and the board. There was that much. That's all it takes for Kip Brennan to have a fight with you. And he had a few choice words to say to someone. And Maddie, you remember this one? And I can't mention the words that were taken, but the fan actually got a good connection in through the gap, knocked Kip Brennan's helmet off. We went down to sign the guy up. We could use you. But these guys are they're just wound. That's the way they are. They're always great guys off the ice. Our current coaching staff, Seals in the back, Rich Seeley, Jeff Giuliani along the way, and all the guys behind the scenes. And most importantly, the fans and the supporters. So that's what I noticed. I got here, and I'm still 5 years into hockey. I'm still kind of the outsider guy, so I'm going to make sure I get connected and do the right things, right? And I knew that it was a big deal because when I announced the first coach of the Monarchs, Bruce Boudreau, I did it. Imagine this, I did it at Tri-Town in Hooksett. Immediately got a call from an alderman and said, what the heck are you doing? Making an announcement, this big an announcement for the Manchester Monarchs in Hooksett. So I got the feeling that, okay, they take this very personally, they're very plugged in, I'm gonna make sure that we do the right thing. So I had this meeting with Dick Boucher and Francois Solis. Dick was working for ACA, which is over in the Franco-American Center. I said, okay, sounds like pretty good people to get to know, the Franco-American community. I'll do that. And we started talking about forming this organization, never knowing that whether it would work out, how it would work out. The first board that we put together, would they show up, would they do anything, raising money, having the first ceremony. And wow, did it ever take off. 2 people here today besides Dick who are on the board from the very beginning. Pierre Belanger, I say it the French way. Pierre, where are you? In the back there, and Roland Martin. So we got like originals. And then some of the other people, Jim Hayes came on 2 years later and became the immovable force that you know him to be. He was amazing in what he's done. Bob has been so involved all along the way. Bob Vachon, Dick Roy, so many people that have been instrumental in being such a big part of this organization. I want to thank all the sponsors for making it possible to be here today. St. Paul's School, Hawks Hockey of St. Anselm College, and Amoskeag Beverages, New Hampshire Distributors, and the New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association. So let's give a round of applause to all those great supporters. So it's been an amazing run, and the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey have been a real special experience for me for the 7 or 8 years that I was on the board. It's a great honor to be inducted, to be a part of this fantastic group. Many of you are here today. I did want to say one thing as I wrap, because I congratulate all the inductees, but especially Jeff Giuliano, since he was one of the guys that came along the way and was a very special part of our team. And there's a few things that you should know that I'd like to pass along with you about Jeff. He's and his family with him over here. Jeff is one of the more frugal guys that you would know. I think he was raised by good parents who made him appreciate working for a living, appreciate what he had in life. He went out on his first road trip, and you always get excited to talk about how'd it go, and how'd it go, Jeff? You know, like he's made it big time. He's making pretty good money, you know, right? And he gets back, and you want to hear about all the great things that happened, and how'd it go? He says, yeah, we're staying in all these fantastic hotels. You know, it's amazing. It's 4 seasons, and it's like incredible. And I said, really? He says, are you enjoying it? He says, yeah, it's really great, but you're not going to believe it. It's like the hamburgers are like $13. I said, Jeff, you can afford it, man. But I don't know if you know that. You can't be in a room with Jeff Giuliano and not throw out a couple of nose jokes. The reason his nose is as considerable as it is because air is free. So it's like that's what he says. And I do want to say hi to his parents, Joe and Nina. Nini. Wait. Nini. Not a name you run into every day. So I was very blessed to be with you guys when you went to Montreal for Jeff's first game. We had a busload of sponsors, and we had so much fun on these road trips with the sponsors. And Joe and Nini thought they were going to have fun, go a pretty normal trip to a hockey game, probably one of the millions you've seen in your life. And I think as they were getting on the bus and they saw cooler after cooler getting on board, they started kind of wondering what was going on. About 20 miles in, they said, oh my God, what have we gotten into? A crazy trip. But I was there when I think the tears welled up in your eyes when you saw Jeff hit the ice for the first time. And, you know, speaking of Jeff's nose, it's like it's actually hereditary. I don't know if you know, it runs in the family. And you wouldn't know it by looking at Nini because she got a nose job. And Jeff said, why couldn't you have done that before you had me? I mean, he's not the kind of the guy that puts on airs. He just says what he feels right when it comes out. But, he was a battler. That's what he was a guy who made it through hard work. Clearly not, the excellent skill, obviously. So it was the hard work and the battling. And he was a wonderful person to be around. And it was a real testament to him, to the New Hampshire hockey, this kid who grows up in Nashua, makes it to the East Coast Hockey League. All of a sudden he's up with us and probably thinks, wow, this is fantastic. All of a sudden he's up with the LA Kings, had a great career. And he's always been a pleasure to be around. And I congratulate him for his induction today into the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame. So with that, I will pass it back to Bob for the remainder of the program. I appreciate everything all of you have done for the great game of hockey and allowing me to be a part of it in this great state. Thank you.
This time we're going to bring the president back, and he's going to honor our team designee this year, and also he will be announcing the 17-18 honoree as well. John?
Thank you, Bob. So as to keep our tradition, each year we honor a special team, and this year we have chosen to honor St. Anselm's College. The program at St. Anselm, I don't want to abbreviate their name. I just don't think that's proper. So correct me if I say that. St. Anselm College started unofficially in the spring of 1968 as a result of a chance meeting between Jim Dooley and Frank Harrington. Hockey at St. Anselm's up to that point was largely a loose-knit club operation with few practices or games and without official uniforms or a coach. Dooley was president of his class, and his role had, in this role, he had the responsibility of ordering class rings. The salesman of the ring company was Frank Harrington, and during their conversations between the two, hockey came up. Harrington, upon learning that there was a club team, offered to formally create a team and serve as the coach. In Harrington's words, hockey will put St. Anselm's on the map, and was worth his time, money, and effort. Dooley met with a number of players on the club team and laid out Harrington's vision. Interest in moving forward was unanimous among the players, and a meeting with Harrington and Father Placidus Riley, president of the college, ensued. The meeting went well, but there were issues that needed to be resolved. There was no money in the budget for a new team, especially an expensive undertaking like a hockey team. There was also no rink on campus, no schedule, no equipment, no coach, and among many other issues that they had to deal with. So Harrington told Father Placidus that if the school could partially fund the team, he would personally take care of the rest. Father Placidus agreed, and hockey became the second major sport at St. Anselm's College. The team became a recognized varsity sport in the 69-70 season. In its first season, the team went 3-8, but quickly improved to 10-8 the following season. The 10 victories marked the first of 6 consecutive double-digit win seasons for the Hawks. In 1971, Harrington hired Steve Cedarchuk, a former BC hockey player, to be an assistant coach, and ultimately turned over the head coach position to him in 73-74. Cedarchuk recruited the program's first modern-day All-American, Jim Morris. Jim Morris and Mike Gavin each compiled over 200 points in their careers from 71 to 75, and Gavin's 117 assists remains as a program record. Cedarchuk also continued with Harrington's plan of you only get better by playing the best, and he scheduled games against Army, Princeton, Boston College, BU, Vermont, and UNH. After 2 seasons as head coach, he turned the program over to Alan Davis and Tom Birmingham for 10 seasons during the 70s and 80s. In the 80s, St. Anselm made 3 appearances in the ECAC postseason, 83, 85, and 87. In 1983 and 85, ECAC tournament teams were led by New Hampshire Legends Hall of Famer U.B. McDonough, the program's all-time leading scorer with 124 goals, 210 points, and a 4-time All-American. In his junior season in 84-85, he set a single-season record of 71 goals, 41 assists, and won the College Division Hobey Baker Award before going on to the NHL. Ken Cusick took over the program as head coach in 85-86 and guided the Hawks for 17 seasons until 2002, making him the program's longest tenured coach. Cusick's 94 team went 15-6-4 overall, 11-3-3 in the ECAC, and the team's 15 wins were the second most in program history. In 2000, Cusick led the Hawks to the first back-to-back ECAC champion Division II championships. After Cusick's departure, following the 2002 season, current head coach Ed Cini took over the reins and his second team went 20-7 in 2004. He set a program record for wins in a season that still stands. Since that season, the Hawks have won at least 10 games in 13 straight seasons under Coach Cini. The program's winningest coach, with a career record of 190 wins, 150 losses, and 34 ties. St. Anselm has won 7 Northeast 10 titles since 2005, including 4 in a row from 2009 to 2013. In addition to the team's successes, several Hawks have received major individual honors during their time on the Hilltop. Most notably, Coleman Noonan was selected to the Division II, Division III All-America second team and joined McDonough as the only St. Anselm player to win ECAC East Player of the Year, after tallying 23 goals, 24 assists, and ranked 4th in the country in goals in 2010. That same year, Noonan was honored with the Joe Concannon Award, which is given to the best American-born Division II, Division III hockey player in New England, becoming the first Division II player to earn the award since its inception in 2001. In 2013, senior Tucker Mullen was selected as the Bank of New York Mellon Wealth Management Hockey Humanitarian Award. Now that's a mouthful. Winner of the NCAA Frozen Four Championships in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The award was given annually to college hockey's finest citizen and seeks to recognize college players at all levels who give back to their communities in a true humanitarian spirit. Mullen co-founded the Thomas Smith Fight to Cure Paralysis Foundation. He was a student ambassador for Team Impact and played a role in the team adopting 9-year-old Benjamin Roy, who was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia in 2007 at the age of 4. In total, St. Anselm has produced 8 All-Americans. On the men's side, Jim Morris, 74-75, Steve Murphy, 82-83, Ubi McDonough, 82 through 86, Matt Del Judas, 86-87, and Coleman Noonan, 2009-2010. In 2004, the women's program joined the men's varsity sport. The women have compiled an impressive record of 241 wins, 66 losses, and 13 ties over 12 seasons, and have won 6 conference championships. The women's team, Hawks, have won their first game against Salva Regina, a 5-0 score on November 5th in 2004. After a loss the next day, they rattled off 12 straight wins and eventually claimed the ECAC Open Championship with wins over St. Michael's, Holy Cross, to finish its first season 21-3-1 overall. After a highly successful opening season under David Flint, the Hawks posted 3 more 20-win seasons from 2005 to 2008. St. Anselm won ECAC East regular season, ECAC Open Championships in both 2007 and 2008, while posting a combined record of 47-5-1 over those 2 seasons. In 4 years as head coach, Flint led the Hawks to 88-15-2 record, a winning percentage of .848 before departing for Northeastern. The New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame inductee Kathleen Twomey spearheaded the Hawks in Flint's final 3 seasons. After scoring 24 goals, recording 33 points as a freshman in 27 games, Twomey tallied 42 points on 25 goals, 17 assists as a sophomore to lead the Hawks to the ECAC Open title. To date, Twomey is one of 5 Hawks to reach the 100-point mark and sits 3rd all-time with 124 points, while her 75 career goals stands as a school record. Following Flint's departure, current head coach Kirsten Matthews became the program's second head coach in August of 2008 and has guided the Saints to 153, 51, and 11 record, while winning at least 15 games in all 8 of her seasons. After her first 2 teams won a combined 31, 20, and 3, Matthews' Hawks posted identical 26 and 1 records in 2011 and 12. The 2011 team was led by Rosemarie Giarusso's school record 43 points, a mark that is equaled 2 years later by Courtney Winters. Giarusso finished her career as the program's all-time leading scorer with 140 points, 72 goals, and 68 assists. 2012 team went on to win the first of 3 straight ECAC Open titles for the program by routing Holy Cross 7-3 in the championship game. The Hawks and Crusaders met in the title game the next 2 seasons, with St. Anselm's winning 4-3 in overtime in the 2013 season and 2-1 in the 14 season. Goaltender Lindsey Brown anchored back-to-back championship teams, posting 43 6-3 record and a 1.3 goals against average with 17 shutouts in her 4-year tenure. After a 1-year absence, St. Anselm returned to the Open Championship game this past season, failing to Holy Cross in a 4-3 overtime loss. The Hawks finished 21-6 for their 8th 20-win season in the 11-year history of the women's hockey program. Like the men, the women's program has had 8 players recognized as All-Americans: Cindy LaBelle, Kelsey Johnson, Courtney Winters, Lindsey Brown, Martha Finley, and Alex Starzyk. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the St. Anselm's hockey program, and if Coach Ed Cini and his assistant Larry Rocket could please stand. Is there a women's coach in the audience? Would you please stand as well? And let's give him a big hand. Thank you very much. I would like to invite a player who was on the original rosters of St. Anselm's program, Dick Curly Burke. Would Dick please come up? Oh, there you are. You snuck up on me. Thank you.
Good to see you.
We'd like to
Have you wear this?
have you, I don't know that you want to wear it, but you can accept it graciously.
I will.
And take a picture.
You want to see the shirt, right?
There you go. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is with humble and sincere thank you to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. My name is Dick Burke. I had the opportunity and pleasure also of being on the first hockey team at St. A's. Looking at the Legends of Hockey, it brought a smile to my face thinking about names like Kangaroo Hebert and Willie Bebo, who were mainstays of the Manchester Blackhawks. We used to practice before them, and on Saturdays we would be their undercard, so to speak. So people would think that we'd have these huge crowds coming to our game, but it was always to watch the Blackhawks. It certainly was a lot of fun. It was something that Frank Harrington, who was the founder of St. A's Hockey, and a former Boston College player who played on a national team, it was all about Frank. Unfortunately, Frank is not with us. He passed away last year. But he said to me after our first win down in an open snowy rink down at MIT, that it was the proudest day of his hockey life, seeing us winning our first game. So I think in terms of here we are today, 48 years later, and I'm looking out at the crowd, and I just want to give a couple of shout-outs to a couple of people. Obviously, we have Larry Roker and Ed Senior and Kirsten and Sarah Glenn, who was the assistant coach. But also, I'd like to recognize a few other people also. It'll just take a couple of seconds. I'd like to recognize Mitch Capel and Neil DeVal, who are representing our athletic department. Ken Perkins, who is our rink manager. Gary Smith, who is the voice of St. A's hockey. One of our best fans, Greg Nolan, coming all the way down from Berlin, New Hampshire. His son Ryan was also one of our coaches and better players. And Tom Bullock, who is the president of Amos Cake Beverages, who probably without his support, continued support, St. A's hockey wouldn't be what it is today. So on behalf of St. A's hockey, I'm very proud to take this shirt. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with it, but I'll take it with me anyways. And once again, thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Congratulations. Kirsten, Eddie, I'd like everybody associated with the St. A's program, please stand. Everybody. You bet. Congratulations. Now to our honorees. If I had told you 20 years ago that 20 years later, Quinnipiac was going to be in 2 of 4 NCAA Frozen Four championships, you would have sent me out for a medical examination. Who was Quinnipiac? Where did they play? Who did they play against? They didn't even have a rink. They had nothing. But they had somebody with a vision. They had a guy from Bedford who had a vision. A guy who went to Manchester West High School who had a vision. And when he left Connecticut College, he was one of their all-time leading scorers and was an assistant coach. And after 3 years as an assistant coach, became a head coach. Everybody said he wasn't ready. He couldn't do that job. What experience did he have? Where did he coach? Who did he coach with? What kind of player was he? What kind of coach was he going to be? Well, we found out 446 wins later that he's a great coach. The former recipient, fast recipient, in 2016 of the Spencer Penrose Award, which goes to the National Coach of the Year. Please welcome to the Legends of Hockey, someone who's a legend at Quinnipiac, but he's our legend because he's from New Hampshire, the head coach of Quinnipiac, and the newest inductee, Rand Pecknold.
Wow, that's pretty good. Who would have thought, Mom, huh? Thank you. Tremendous honor. I'm humbled. Before I forget, I want to make sure I thank my wife, Nikki, who gives me all the support that I can pursue my passion and wake up every day and be excited about my job. And she's not here today. She's lugging 3 of our kids around. We talked about the hockey mom earlier. We've got games, and as much as I would have liked my other children and my wife to be here today, we can't miss games. Like, we got to go, and we have a commitment, so we fulfill that. But thank you to her. I do have Georgia here with me today, 3 out of 4, who does not want to play hockey, but she's one of the top soccer players around, right, Georgia? So thank you for coming. While I'm on that, I also want to thank my mom and dad. My mom is here today for everything that they did for me, Jeannie and Wayne Pecknold, for what they did for me growing up and taking me to all the rinks, and definitely had some interesting experiences with my mom. She's not very good with directions. We'd get lost a little bit, and I always remember one time it was go down this road and take a right at the pink house, and of course they had painted the house. And so I think we missed that game. But anyway, they definitely fostered my passion throughout, and that was what I was passionate about, and I'm very thankful for that. I also want to thank the Manchester Flames. So that's my youth organization growing up. I loved it. We won. I was trying to think about how many state championships we won growing up. I can't even, every year we won. Maybe 1 or 2 times we were runner-ups, but they were great to me, and again, building my career that is today. My dad coached us, Wayne Pecknold. He was a great coach, real fortunate. A lot of great players came through underneath him. Dave Norman, Timmy Pollock, Jeff Sorowick, who's in the Hall of Fame. I saw Brian Stone earlier, Kyle McDonough. We had a lot of really good players come out of that group. Paul Belleville was an assistant, great man. And then we ended up winning 2 national championships as we got older in the junior bracket. You could do like a split season. I don't know if they still do that now. My father coached us the first year out in Seattle. Stoney brought it up today about we won in triple overtime. We beat the Chicago Young Americans. That was pretty cool. And then next year, Wally Tafe coached us. We hosted it here in Manchester, and we won it again. So those were great memories for me, and I do appreciate what the Flames did for me. Moving on. So I didn't get in because I was a player. I got in because I was a coach. So I was thinking about what to talk about today, and I get the question all the time, like why does Quinnipiac win? Like how do you guys do it? Last year we had one of the best seasons. We had 4 losses, so it's been 19 years since a team did that, and we had 2 draft picks. And so we're playing teams with 15, 16 draft picks. How are you that good without that talent? And I was really fortunate this summer. The Detroit Red Wings reached out to me and asked me to come in. Their coaching staff did, and said, "Hey, can you come in and meet with us and talk about what you do well and teach us?" And I was like, "Well, let me clear my calendar. I'll be there. When do you need me?" It was awesome. It was a great experience. So I went out there and met with Jeff Blashill, John Torchetti, former coach of the Minnesota Wild, who's now on the staff there, Doug Huda with the Bruins for years, and Pat Ferschweiler. We did 2 days of just everything. And to get prepared for that, I really sat down. Because when you ask that question, I just kind of defer, like it's not one thing. And I really sat down and I thought about it. I made this document. I probably over-prepared for the Red Wings trip, as we all probably would do. And I came up with 17 different things that we're really good at. It's not one thing. And I think because we're good at so many different areas, and you add those things up. So one thing that I really focus on is marginal gains. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that topic. But it's about being really good and getting better in a lot of little areas in small increments. So it's maybe 2% better in 20 different areas, or 1% better, or even a small percent. And if you do that, that will add up, and all of a sudden you're playing in the Frozen Four. So we're really focused on that. And we also compartmentalize everything that we do and how we coach. So, for example, you see in the program there, we have the #1 power play in the NCAA in the last 5 years, right? Which is great. We're really proud of that. Last night we were 0 for 12 against BU. We lost the game because we were 0 for 12. We had 2 5-on-3s. It was a disaster. Give credit to BU. They were really good. They're blocking shots, and their goalie was good. But the one thing we'll do is we won't just say, hey, we need our power play to get better. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about in zone, and how we can be better in the zone. Do we want to run the 1-3-1? Do we want to run a 2-3, a box and 1? What do we need to do there? I think that's what most people do. But we're going to go further than that. We're going to break it down, and we're going to talk about face-offs. So we need to start running face-off plays to score goals off the draw. We need to run plays where we can get possession, so now we have the puck and we can get our scoring chances. And really important, we lose the draw. What are we going to do? How are we going to go get it back? Then we'll take another step and we'll focus on retrievals. So shot on net, puck goes to the corner. What are we going to do? What's our retrieval modes? Where are our release points? And we teach a lot of that. And then, of course, a real big thing is zone entries. So we'll, just giving you an example, those are things, we do that in everything we do. It's a lot of work. I love it, and I have great assistant coaches. But we'll break every area of the game down into that. And we try to get 0.5%, 1%, or 2% better at every little thing, and it adds up to that, and you get ranked #1 in the country. In addition to that, we recruit great kids, great character kids, and I think that's something I give Reed Cashman and Bill Regan, my 2 assistants, a lot of credit. They focus on the character, and we have great kids willing to do anything to win hockey games, really selfless. But anyway, so I didn't really give you an answer why Quinnipiac wins, because I get asked that all the time, and it's no one answer. It's just it's a lot of things that we do well, and I think we have great character kids. In the end, I remember Ben Smith told me this once. He's like, great coaches get off the bus with great players. And I fully believe that. You can certainly make them better. But we enjoy what we do at Quinnipiac, and we're fortunate. And I'll just leave you with one last thing. As I was thinking about to speak about today, like, to me, my best memory of growing up, was my dad. And going to watch Everett Arena right down the street here, Concord East Olympics. There's a lot of people in the room, right? Remember that? It was awesome. Rink was packed, 4 or 5 deep, and 6, 7 years old. Sorry. I didn't see this coming. Anyway. Anyway, I miss him. But thank you for the award, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Hey, it's never bad to have kids about your dad. Ever. I'll take the glasses. Congratulations. Great job, Coach. Dr. Richard Roy was born in 1931 in Berlin, New Hampshire. He spent a year at Notre Dame High School. Then he attended St. Charles School in Sherbrooke. Attended the University of Montreal. But his contributions were made in what came to be his hometown of Rochester. Back in the 70s and 80s, everybody would talk about all the great programs in the state of New Hampshire, in Manchester and Concord, and Hanover and Berlin. Nobody talked about Rochester. Dr. Richard Roy began the youth hockey program in Rochester, was instrumental in its starting. But he not only built the youth hockey program in Rochester, he also went over to Dover and Somersworth and Portsmouth and York. And he enticed those youth hockey programs to join together in what became the Seacoast Youth Hockey League. Lo and behold, in the 90s, who's winning a state championship? Spalding High School from Rochester, New Hampshire, in a program started by Dr. Richard Roy. 2008, the Rochester Ice Arena was named the Dr. Roy Ice Arena. In 2015, he was hospitably inducted into the Rochester Sports Hall of Fame and passed away at the age of 82. I'd like to ask his son, Daniel Roy, to please accept this induction on behalf of really the founder of youth hockey in Rochester, Dr. Richard Roy.
Thank you, Bob. Good afternoon. I'm Dan Roy, and Dr. Roy's son, as introduced. This is big. It's really big. I mean, when you consider you have statements from the governor, we have the senators here, the mayor of our state capital, it's big, bigger than I thought driving over here. And I'm really flabbergasted. But thank you to the legends of New Hampshire, legends of hockey. Thank you, John Norman and Jim Hayes, and all the committee members who voted to make such a great choice for builder this year. And you know, builder's the key word. My dad's passion was hockey. So he built hockey when he saw a gap. If his passion was baseball and Rochester had a gap, he would have built that. If it was football and Rochester had a gap, he would have built that, because that's kind of the way he was. You know, it's a great honor for a man that spent his entire life serving New Hampshire. But he would have been surprised to be recognized for what he thought was his civic responsibility. I know him. He was flabbergasted when they renamed the Rochester Arena in his name. I mean, he couldn't believe it. But you know, he came from an environment where giving back of your time, talent, or treasure was expected. His brother Don is here from Claremont, who spent a lifetime on boards, being a civic leader, and more. His sister Gloria Mastro is here, She was a nurse from North Reading, Mass., whose list of volunteer projects is longer than probably anyone at that table can remember. His younger brother, Dave Roy, is here as well. He spent countless hours knee-deep in the Northborough, Mass. Youth hockey program as a coach and later administrator. In fact, I think ran the rink for a number of years. Same, they called it noblesse oblige. You're obligated, given the talent. My dad, he was a pediatrician, and he saw the need, and I really think that he spent, I was probably 12 years old, he spent several years trying to recruit every possible athlete that came through his office, and any friend that athlete might have, and sending them over to the Hockey League program. It didn't take very long, the word got out, everybody was wanted. The football guys didn't like it. Because their rule was, if you play football, you play football, right? And these guys that are second and third stringers are going, I'm going to play hockey. See ya. So that didn't go over well. The basketball guys didn't like it because Rochester was a basketball town. And they said, hockey's not going to fly. You're not going to be able to do it. I just remember countless hours in front of the committees and the city council and all the stuff he had to do to get them to build a rink. It seemed like they should have done it anyways. 1972, they spent, help me out, Joe, $400,000, and their rinks would be $4 million today. So, maybe it came in at a good time. But what I remember fondly were the early days of the league, when, we had kids of all ages. Nobody got cut. We played everyone. But we didn't have enough kids to field a legitimate team, like a travel team. There were not enough midgets, not enough junior, nobody really. So they came up with what they called it the house league, and we played ourselves. So the first line was the older kids, like seniors and juniors. Second line, midgets, bantams. Third line, peewees. I don't even know if we had any squirts, but we may have had a few. And we played 2-minute stop time. So the clock would run 2 minutes, blow the whistle, switch lines. So you're always playing somebody your age, and nobody's getting hurt. And we had enough people to field, I think we had 4 teams with the sponsors. They really organized a very nice program, and like Bob alluded to, then came Somersworth, then came Dover, then came, Oyster River and other programs. So I am in debt of him for building that, for all of the kids that were in that program. I mean, his passion was to fill the need. He did it in many different ways. If you read the program, it was very well written, by the way. It had more history in it than I remember, but I was 12. So he served on many different capacities, serving the state of New Hampshire, and that was his passion. So, in closing, the entire Roy family, everyone at our tables, would like to say thank you again to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. This is a wonderful and fitting acknowledgement of the hard work and time that was spent by my dad, and the time and sacrifice that so many of our parents and hockey moms and dads and friends of the league spent in an effort to get the Rochester Youth Hockey League off the bench and out on the ice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have all members of the Roy family. Please stand. Where's that table? All the Roy family members and Dr. Roy's brothers. And Thank you. And I know we have a lot of folks from Rochester as well. Rochester folks, please stand up, be recognized. All you folks from Rochester, I know we got some. No, we don't. Oh, there we go. I know we had them. You know, you don't grow up in Nashua automatically thinking you're going to play in a national championship team for Boston College. You don't grow up in Nashua thinking you're going to play for the LA Kings. For that to happen, a lot of things have to come together. You have to be a terrific player. You have to have great determination. You have to be coached well. You have to have skills. And you got to have the opportunity to play. Jeff Giuliano was given the opportunity to play in Nashua. Then the opportunity to play at St. Paul's School. Founded his experience in the National Youth Hockey Program. Played for one of the great coaches in the United States in Jerry York. Won a national championship. Won 2 Hockey East championships. Went on to play effectively for a number of years in the National Hockey League. Was an outstanding player for the Manchester Monarchs in the American Hockey League. Played a number of years in Europe before concussions finally ended his career. In his career, Jeff Giuliano played 166 Division I games, 697 games as a professional. He's one of the great players ever to come out of New Hampshire as a high school, prep school, and collegiate. Please welcome from Nashua, New Hampshire, Jeff Giuliano.
Thank you. I just want to thank Jeff Eisenberg for that roast. I feel like that broke the ice for me pretty good here, so thank you, Jeff. I'm honored to be getting inducted into the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame here today and join the list of many greats. It takes a lot of qualities to be added to this list, but like Jeff said, I was more of a grinder, known for my skill or for my work ethic, and not so much my skill. But I had a little bit of talent here. The dedication I had been fortunate to receive from the people in my life and the character that it built in me as a dedicated team player is why I'm standing here today. So I'd like to thank a few. Jim Barton was the first coach I had for the Manchester Flames and for many years playing for the Flames. I'll never forget we were playing in a game in Rhode Island and he pulled me aside, grabbed me by the jersey and said, "Jules, if you don't start back checking and start working hard, you're not going to play for me." And from that day forward, that started the identity for the rest of my career. I became a relentless worker and never missed a back check and want to thank Jim for that. My next coach that I want to thank is Bill Matthews. He was the head coach at St. Paul's School here in Concord, New Hampshire, and was also my academic advisor. Being a mama's boy and moving away from home at age 14 was not easy. I needed someone to turn to, and Bill was that guy. He made sure I was staying on top of my schoolwork and also let me grow as a player. I played a ton as a freshman, and he let me grow. I made tons of mistakes, but as we all know, that's how you learn. I learned from my mistakes, and I want to thank him for that. And like Bob said, Jerry York. There's not much to say about this legend. He's a head coach at Boston College, winningest coach in NCAA history, and he taught me so many things about the games, it's indescribable. I think Jerry's best quality that he has is that he's so even-keeled. If we were up 3-0 or losing by 3, his demeanor didn't change on the bench. He was always cool, calm, and collective. I definitely try and mimic this as a coach as much as possible while I'm coaching my players as the assistant coach for the Monarchs now. Not only did he help me on the ice, but he also pushed me to strive with strength and conditioning and helped me with my eating habits. I really need to thank him for this because my dedication in the weight room is the reason why I was able to have a long, successful hockey career. I came into Boston College as a young, chubby boy and left a well-conditioned athlete ready for the pro game. My next 2 coaches that I'd like to thank are Bruce Boudreau and Andy Murray. Bruce was my first coach here in Manchester, and Andy was my first coach in Los Angeles. They both believed in me, even though I was small and undrafted. Everyone says that they need an opportunity in life, but it's what they do with that opportunity that matters at the end of the day. Bruce and Andy gave me that opportunity to play in the AHL and NHL, and I ran with it. I made sure I wasn't going to let them down, and I want to thank them for this because I don't know where my pro career would have gone without Bruce and Andy believing in me. The next two guys are here, Matt Welch and Rich Seeley. Matt is the president of the Monarchs, and Rich is the head coach of the Monarchs. These two guys are lifetime friends of mine, and it's great working with both of them, but I want to thank them for the opportunity to let me pursue my dreams of not playing anymore, but being able to coach right down the street and stay in the game that I love. My mom, dad, and big sister, without them, none of this would have been possible. My parents, yes, they are those crazy hockey parents. They would drive me to rinks at 5 a.m. My mom worked 2 jobs just so I could play at St. Paul's and maybe have the opportunity to play Division I. And I think they only missed 2 games with my combined career at college and at St. Paul's. They were as dedicated to hockey as I was. Heck, my big sister flew from Cancun to Anaheim with fresh braids and a nice tan just to see me play in the Frozen Four as a freshman. They are my biggest supporters, but my dad was always up front with telling me how I was doing. His honest feedback gave me the ability to accept and grow from constructive criticism. Every coach liked me because I showed up every day and gave 110%, and I always thought this was the norm because my parents did it their whole lives, so thank you. Courtney, Ella, and Lux, my queen and 2 princesses, have been there with me every step of the way. I can't thank them enough for uprooting my family, relocating around the world just so I could play pro hockey. I remember leaving my future in-laws in early August 2008, and Jim Hughes, an old coach of mine here that some of you might remember for the Monarchs, called me. I was driving home back up to Manchester to my condo, and he said, "Jeff, I think I'm going to get a coaching job in the KHL, which is the new Russian league that was trying to compete with the NHL. He goes, I want you to come with me." And in my head, I was like, there's no way I'm going. When I got home, I called Courtney and I said, "Court, this coach called, maybe go to Russia, yada, yada." And she goes, "That would be fantastic. I'd love to come." So I was like, all right, I guess we're going to do this. But at that time, little did I know that it would start my 7-year career overseas and Courtney's European vacation. But no, in all honesty, being a hockey wife is probably the hardest thing to do, and words can't describe how much I want to thank you for this. And then I would also like to thank all my other extended family and friends for their support and love. There were a lot of ups and downs in my career, and they stayed with me every step of the way, so thank you.
We're going to take a picture over here. Let him give you a...
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We get all the Giuliano and family to please stand. Come on, where are you? When you talk about hockey in New Hampshire, and no conversation gets too far along before you talk about Hanover. Hanover has really been the key to growth of hockey in New Hampshire. Hanover, Manchester, Berlin, Concord. And Hanover's work in both boys and girls hockey has been extraordinary. Over the course of the years, Hanover was expected to compete for state championships in boys hockey. But John Dodds, when he took over, saw to it that they were not only competitive, but extraordinary in girls hockey. He began his career in the Hanover youth hockey program, coached with his brother in the Hanover boys hockey program, and really initiated the Hanover girls hockey program. He was the New Hampshire Girls Hockey Coach of the Year in 2014-15. He has won 8 state championships in girls hockey, the last 7 in a row. We honor tonight one of the outstanding coaches in the state of New Hampshire in an outstanding coaching family. From Hanover, Coach John Dodds.
Thank you all. Jimmy, Johnny, the board, you guys put on an unbelievable event every year. You should be very proud. I'm humbled and excited to be inducted into the New Hampshire Legends Hall of Fame today. What an honor to be joining a group of coaches and players I've admired since my youth hockey days back in the 60s. As a boy growing up, hockey was the one activity I was most passionate about. It motivated me. It helped mold the person I am today. It helped foster friendships that have lasted a lifetime. And most importantly, it taught me many life lessons which I have tried to pass on to my players and teams over the years. My induction certainly is more about the Hanover High girls program and the culture we've been able to create than my coaching abilities. We have been fortunate to maintain a strong tradition of excellence both on the ice and in the classroom. We've had a lot of strong support from the community, parents, and the high school. I've been surrounded by great assistant coaches like Brian Drew, who volunteers countless hours every season. Brian has been with me for 8 years now, and his ability to communicate, motivate, and take a genuine interest in all of our players has been remarkable. Then I've got girls like Josie Fisher, who played 4 years for me at Hanover. After graduation, went on to Amherst College and helped them win 2 NCAA championships. And now she's been back helping the last 3 years, helping, mentoring, and all the while at the same time attending med school. What a role model for all of us. And then let me talk about our players a little bit. They're pretty special. Motivated, smart, disciplined, and willing to make sacrifices for the good of the team. They work extremely hard and they push each other. They love to compete, and it doesn't matter if it's 6 a.m. in Campion Rink in Hanover or a Saturday night at Notre Dame Arena. They'll compete and they love it. In Hanover, either the boys or girls team practices before school. That means the girls are typically in the rink 2 or 3 mornings a week. Girls' practices start at 5:30 a.m., and I have the rink open a little before 5. The idea is to give them a little open ice if they want to come early, and give them a chance to sharpen some of their skills. So I'll be in there, and I'll be looking out the office window at 5 o'clock, tightening my skates, and it's not uncommon for me to see half of our team out there with the music blaring, working on skills, having fun, but they're trying to get better. And that pretty much says what type of character the girls that I have at Hanover have. They work awful hard, they're close, and they're good kids. Most importantly, they are simply good young ladies. Each team gives back to the community in several ways, but their favorite has always been running the snowshoe racing event at the Special Olympic Winter Games. There are so many who have influenced to help me along my wonderful journey into the hockey world, so let me acknowledge a few. Seaver Peters, a neighbor in Dartmouth AD, and also a legend, helped start Hanover youth hockey. He encouraged me to learn how to play when I moved to Hanover. And I'll never forget those first couple of years playing in Saturday morning house leagues. The big question would be, what jersey would I be wearing this year? The Bruins, Canadians, Rangers, or Blackhawks? Seaver also had an impact on me my first year I made the Hanover High team, and that wasn't quite as positive. I had a group of friends that we all just loved to skate, and we'd do anything to find ice. Well, we found out that we could sneak into Davis Rink. That's the old rink in Hanover some of you may remember playing in. And we could skate at night. We'd plant somebody in there and wait for the last group to leave. They'd turn the lights off, and we'd get in. That person would then know the coast was clear and let everybody in. We would leave the lights off, skate by the dim light of a couple exit signs, and play games for a couple hours. I'm convinced that's where I learned how to keep my head up. Well, one night we were in there, and we'd gotten pretty accustomed to being there because I think it had been 5 or 6 times, and the doors open and the lights come on, and we look up and there are the campus cops. Busted. Well, I paid for this one. I had to go in and apologize to Seaver. And my punishment was a week ban from the rink, which cost me our first high school scrimmage against KUA that year. So I guess I learned my lesson, but when I think about it these days, it could have been a whole season worth of ban. So Seaver did have a good impact on me overall. Jeff Kosak, who took over the Hanover High job in '72, right after graduating from Dartmouth, and led us to the state championship in '73. More than X's and O's, he taught me how to compete and how to never give up. Carl Lovejoy, who asked me to join him when my son Cody made the Mite travel team. Carl showed me how to keep a team of 6- and 7-year-olds focused and motivated and learning and getting better all year long. There were a lot of great memories made that winter, but I got my first sense of just how important building fundamental skills was. Bob Gaudette, who's been a coaching resource for me throughout my coaching career. Our kids grew up together, and there were a lot of years I had at least one Gaudette on my teams, whether it was youth hockey, summer, or high school teams. But the one who's had the most influence on my coaching has been my brother Dick. I have admired his passion, perseverance, and love for the game for over 35 years now. Dick has been a mentor to me, sharing ideas, drills, strategy. He has built a boys program in Hanover that makes us all very, very proud. And he has given the girls program a map for doing things the right way. His support and encouragement is as strong today as when he talked me into running the Learn to Play program many, many years ago. And then finally, let me thank my family. Daughter Chelsea, son Cody, my wife Patty, and my parents, who aren't here today, are the reason that I'm standing before you tonight. Each have been strong supporters my entire career. Each is willing to give me some advice, friendly advice, after they watch our teams play. Cody lived in hockey rinks his entire life, youth hockey in Hanover, playing for Dick in high school, club hockey at UNH, and the last couple of years back learning the ropes from Dick. Chelsea had a late start in the sport because we couldn't get her out of the gymnastics world. When she made the Hanover High girls team, I jumped on the ice as an assistant. It was my first time coaching a girls team. Her senior year, I became the head coach, and I've been there ever since, loving it. And then my wife, Patty, has been my biggest fan. She does so many behind-the-scenes things like cooking team meals, organizing team bonding activities, getting Ben Lovejoy to send the team a good luck message before the state finals. She makes most of our games and doesn't complain about all the hours absorbed every winter from hockey. Thank you all for supporting me, believing in me, and encouraging me to do what I love. And thank you all for honoring me tonight.
How about if we have all those Hanover folks, please stand. Mr. Lovejoy, I see them all over there, come on. Our next honoree, Gary Bishop, gets very nervous every time he drives into Concord, because over his career of 5 state championships, he might have 10 if it wasn't for Concord. He and Doug Walsh have sort of traded state championships over a number of years. Gary has a great background. Outstanding player at Lowell Tech for Billy Riley. Head coach at Austin Prep, essentially began their program. Assistant coach at Lehigh, and then assistant coach at Lowell. Head coach of Girton. 5-time state championship. Division I Coach of the Year in 2015. I've been a first-hand observer to a lot of those games. And one of the things that is unique about Gary, well, his friendship with Dunk is one of the things. Dunk and Gary are very close friends. And there's a lot of people that talk about, being magnanimous when you win and gracious when you win and magnanimous when you lose. But he epitomizes that. He is the most gracious of winners, and he understands when he loses, or the team loses, that you're gracious to your opponent as well. He sets an example for coaches here in the state of New Hampshire. To me, that is exactly what you ought to be doing. We honor him as a coach, but I also think we honor him as a gentleman coach. The head coach of Girton, Gary Bishop. See, he's smart. He's like me. He's going the long way. Congratulations.
It's not being smart, it's being old. To begin with, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees. It's an honor to be inducted along with all of you. We may be legends today, but in one way or another, we have all been and will always be ambassadors of the game of hockey. Thank you, fellow inductees. I would also like to thank Jim Hayes, John Norman, Mike Gould, and the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Board of Directors for their support of hockey in the state of New Hampshire and the sponsoring of this prestigious event. In particular, I would like to thank my nominator, Dave Beauchamp, for all of his efforts in making this a momentous evening for me and my family. Thanks, Dave. I'd also like to thank my wife, Susan, who's been following me around rinks for 45 plus years through my playing and coaching career. Plenty of those 45 years, she had 4 children. My children, Mark, Kirk, Kristen, and Michelle, in tow, following me around the rinks. Without their love and support, this journey would never have been possible. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Bishop Girton administration and the community for allowing me to coach their hockey program for 25 years. Thanks to all the former BG players who none of this would be possible at all. A number of them are here today. A number have graduated and gone on to play at great college programs. But again, thank you to all of my former players. I'd like to thank all of my numerous athletic directors. It seems like there's been about 15 of them. I'd like to thank all of my former assistant coaches, present assistant coaches, Jack Merrill, Dave Lazinski, Sean Haggerty, Jim Egan, Tim Pelletier, Dan Phillips, and a special thanks to my assistant of the last 15 years who's been with me for all 5 state championships, Mark Mantone. It's also been a pleasure and an honor to coach with or against 8 of the legends. They're members of the hall right now during my years of coaching. Dunk Walsh, Jim Tufts, Dick Dodds, Wally Tafe, Albie Broder, Bruce Parker, who I coached in high school and as an assistant coach at Lowell when he was at Merrimack. Dick Humility. Dick Humility and I go back to Watertown and Austin Prep days. Thanks to Dick. Bruce Crowder, who's another Hall of Fame member who I coach with at the University of Lowell. Lastly, I would like to thank a real hockey legend, my former coach, mentor, and colleague, Mr. Bill Riley. During my senior year playing for Bill, he asked me, "You want to coach?" Not knowing what I was doing or getting into, I said, "Yeah, sounds like fun." Well, Bill helped me get a coaching position at Lehigh University, where I was able to coach and continue my education, which led to my career as a teacher and a coach. 8 years later, Bill called and said, "You want to be an assistant coach at the University of Lowell?" At that point, I didn't want to, but I said, "Yeah, why not?" 12 years later, I left Lowell and got the BJ position at Bishop Girton again, stayed there for 25 years. Again, I would like to thank Coach Riley for all that you have meant to me, both personally and professionally. And before I finish, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mike Garagosian. If any of you know Mike, you should be laughing right now. Mike was assistant coach with me at Lowell. He was a great guy, great friend, and he always told me, you need to learn how to self-promote. Sorry, Mike, I was a slow learner. I was never good at it. I'm still not good at it, but thank you for your friendship. Once again, thanks to all of you for your attendance and support of New Hampshire hockey. Thank you.
We're going to have the raffle winners as well, but one of the all-time winningest coaches in college hockey, Billy Riley. Billy, please stand. Stand up. And next one of the world's great goalie coaches, Mike Garagosian. Gara? Now let's have all the Girton people. Why don't you all stand and be recognized? I know we have some kids out here. Come on. Girton, stand, please. All of Coach Bishop's friends and family. The Bishop family, come on, stand up here. Please stand, come on. Now we'll have John give you the raffle winner. Go ahead, John.
So joining me is Dave Beauchamp, who, as I mentioned earlier, was so gracious to donate this this condo at Whistler in British Columbia. For those of you who are not skiers, you don't have to go to British Columbia and ski. It is a fabulous resort in the Canadian Rockies, and I'm told that whoever wins this is going to be a lucky person and enjoy a wonderful vacation.
You're not going to believe it.
Go ahead.
Uh-oh. Kelly Dobbins, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh, my.
Kelly Dobbins.
She's not here.
Does anyone?
I know her.
You do?
I sold her.
Well, you know what everybody says in circles like that. Pull another one.
I did.
That's good. That's fine. She's the winner. Yeah, she left. Unfortunately, she left her phone number.
So, again, Dave and Brenda, thank you so much for your contribution. We greatly appreciate it. So each year, we announce next year's team that is going to be honored. And so this year, the team that we are going to be honoring in 2017 began play as a varsity team in 69 and 70. Their first head coach, came down with a cold and I feel like I'm having a Donald Trump moment. First head coach was three-year varsity wing and starter on the 1955 Mass State Championship team in Winchester High School. In this team's first game, they won 6-3, and the first goal was scored by a young defenseman from Duxbury, Mass. They ended the season with a respectable 10-3-1 record. For 22 consecutive seasons, they traveled 40 miles round trip through the 90-91 season, all while hauling their equipment in their own cars and later in college vans. Their first two varsity seasons, this team played an independent schedule. In the spring of 71, they accepted to compete in the ECAC Division II for the 71-72 season. Prior to the start of the 83-84 season, ECAC realigned and shifted to Division III. In 1990, a concerted effort was made to raise funds for an indoor facility and soon afterward, a rink with limited temporary seating was constructed. In the spring of '91, the arena was dedicated. For more than 10 years, beginning in 99 through 2000, this team competed in the most competitive league in the country. They twice won their league title and participated in 3 NCAA tournaments, reaching the Final Four in 2005. Their players received All-American status on 5 occasions, one being a 2-time recipient. Their storied hockey history had another major chapter written when the women's program began in '99 as a club team. The first 2 years, this team was led by volunteer coach and played against high school teams, club teams, college club teams, and women's teams, adult women's teams. In its 3rd year of existence, the team was granted varsity status as a Division III independent and hired their first coach, who played at St. Lawrence University. At that time, the women's team joined the ECAC East Division. And I'd like to have the coaches of the men's team stand. First, head coach Leo Callahan, and first captain Jim Peabody. And we also have Tom Carroll. Would these people please stand? I know I haven't said who the team is. Ladies and gentlemen, the team to be honored in 2017, New England College. And would all the people associated with New England College please stand?
Thank you, John. Thank you all for your attention. You've been a great audience. And until next year, take care of yourselves and hopefully see everybody next year. Thank you. Bye-bye.